Hey guys, J0. I've been thinking the last couple of days about my little country community that we got out here in the hills. We all know each other. We all barter with each other. We work together. You know, we put up hay. We take care of each other's animals if somebody's sick, and so on and so forth. So we have our little community out here. So if we was to come across an SHTF situation or WROL situation, as far as that goes, we're still going to be our little community. We're still going to be supportive of each other. We're still going to have our gardens and our livestock and our hay fields and so on and so forth. But at some point, we are going to need, town stuff. We're going to have to make it. We're going to have to make it a point to try to get into town, whether it be for fuel. We can't grow gas trees. We can't grow antibiotic trees. We can't grow a salt bush. Stuff like that. There's going to be stuff that we're going to have to go into town to try to acquire, with bartering or something like that. So I've been thinking about how would we do that? How would we get together, pick a day, get together, and decide we're going to go to town and how we're going to do it? Well, my idea is that we would get all of us locals here together, gather at one place, and then we would have we would just designate a party out of those people who were there. Okay, you 3, you 4. You're going to make the actual trip into town. Everybody, we would have 2 identical maps, and we would have our routes planned. Our route there planned, and our route back planned. And there would be checkpoints along every certain route. The first route would have, a series of checkpoints, and then every checkpoint we would radio back saying we're at A, we're at B. So the people back at the home place can still know where we are and that we're okay. And same thing for the way back. So the group that's decided that we're going to be the ones who go to town. Okay, what kind of gear are we going to carry with us? What are we going to do? How are we going to present ourselves when we're going to town? Well, we're not going to be all tacked out with big battle rifles and ARs and tack vests and a bunch of magazines and helmets and stuff, because if you look like you're looking for trouble, then that's exactly what you're going to find. You're going to find trouble. And folks around here, if something like if a bad situation happens and SHTF happens, they're gonna blame the government. So if you look like you work for the government, or you look like you're a soldier, or you look like you have bad intentions, then you're probably going to have a bad day. So we're just going to dress normally. I personally will have probably in the truck my 10-22 in case we see some critters along the way, and my sidearm. And we would take our planned route, which would be off the beaten path, not main roads, back roads, logging roads, cut through a field here or there if we have to get to town. Because I may be naive in believing this, but I believe that after a certain period of time, when we get over the initial shock of whatever happens, that has happened, then there's going to be little places pop up that are like flea markets, trading posts, where you can go and you can barter and negotiate certain different goods, salt, fuel, medicines, and stuff like that. So we're going to be trying to go there, with the intention of getting supplies. We're not going to go with the intentions of looking for trouble. We're going to carry ourselves like we're non-threatening, non-imposing. We're not going to go there intimidating people. We're not going to just go bust everybody in the head and clean the place out. That's not good. You're going to get shot. And if you don't get shot, you can never go back there because they're going to remember you. You don't want to burn that bridge. You may have to go back 6 months later to get more fuel or more medicine or something like that. So you want to try to do it as calmly and anonymously as you can. So when we're there, we're bartering, we're negotiating, we're trying to, to kind of get some news, feel out, see what's happening, how are people reacting, because, out here in the hills, we're probably not going to have a whole lot of information as to what is going on and how the rest of the country is dealing with it. So there's all kind of different information we're going to be looking for. And we'll be looking for supplies on the way there and looking for supplies on the way back, because even if you find an extra can of corn or something way out there, well, that's just, that much less corn that you got to grow, or that much less corn that you have to worry about feeding everybody. Everything is a plus. So I have a military Alice pack. And with me personally, I'll have probably just, enough for a small meal and, a quart, a canteen, maybe 2 canteens of water. Because I'm not trying to carry a whole bunch of stuff there. I'm trying to carry a whole bunch of stuff back. When I do carry a whole bunch of stuff there, it's because I've already been there and I know what people need as far as value goes, what we can take to trade. But that's a whole nother thing. So when we get there, You know, I'm not going to have we're not going to have I don't have an AR, but we're not going to have, nobody, you know, was going to take their big battle rifles, their big home defense rifles, because the home defense rifles and your battle rifles should be at home. You know, the people who are there defending the home place while you're gone need to have access to those bigger, badder guns to defend themselves if somebody should come, you know, with bad intentions while you're away. So we'd also take a couple of radios, because communication is going to be important, of us talking back and forth. Hey, they say this is valuable. Do we have any, or can we spare any? Something like that, and then we can make arrangements to get it there and get it back, you know, the next couple of days or something like that. So once we're there and we have discovered, you know, what we can do, what we can find. Now, keep in mind, if my wife's about to die, or one of my kids is about to die, and this guy has got some medicine, but he won't give it up, worst case scenario, I'm going to bust him in the head and I'm going to take what I need. Right? I'm going to avoid that at all costs. I don't want trouble. I want the supplies, and I want to be able to go back in the future. I don't want to have the reputation as being the troublemaker who people are going to start shooting at as soon as they see you. That's not good. You don't want that. You know, I'm not Johnny Badass. I'm not trying to fight the world, because the only thing I'm going to get out of that trip to town is dead, and that's not good. So on the way back, I figured that my route home is going to be a different route. Maybe a little longer, a little more difficult of a route, you know, using more logging roads, using more out-of-the-way off-roads. That way, because if somebody's in town and they see you, you know, with supplies, and they're like, well, let's follow them and try to mug them out somewhere else, you know, on their way home. So I'm going to try to avoid that as well by making it a little more difficult route. That gives us more time to make sure we're not being followed. And then once we do finally make it back to the home place, then we would immediately go into defensive mode and have everybody start watching, to see if there's anybody lurking around out there that we can see. Now, keep in mind, if you have somebody, you know, like Miami Prepper 1, who was a trained recon sniper, you know, a scout sniper, you're not going to know he's around. He could be laying up on the hill in the woods, and you're not going to know he's there. Thank God, there's not a whole lot of them in the world, you know, that are around that can do that. But if you're extra vigilant when you get home to make sure that you haven't been followed, you know, if you see something strange, give it a little bit extra attention. Maybe, you know, get a little closer, use your binoculars, do whatever you can, very cautiously, of course, to try to see if you see anything out of the ordinary. And then you can start settling in a little bit more and getting back into your routine once you're pretty confident that you haven't been followed. But those are my ideas, you know, because there's going to be a time, man, especially country folks, we're going to have to go into town. We can't grow medicine. You know, there's a lot of herbal remedies for certain things that we can that we know of, but that doesn't replace everything. You're going to need something. You're going to need town stuff eventually. So when you decide that you have to go into town, make sure you have a plan. Make sure somebody else knows your plan. You know, if you don't have to go alone, that's great. Don't go alone. Take somebody with you. But make sure that everybody around you in your little community or your family knows exactly what route you're taking there and exactly what route you're coming back on. Have your checkpoint set up, and try to have some sort of communications where you can keep in contact with them. That way, if you need backup, I need backup at checkpoint D, they automatically know where that is and they're on their way. So just some of my ideas about, you know, SHTF country folks having to go into town, because it's going to happen. So, the end.